A police officer walks up to your window after a routine traffic stop. Do you know why I pulled you over? You hand over your license, registration, insurance. The officer looks at the screen in the patrol car and suddenly says something most drivers never expect to hear. Looks like you've had multiple violations on your record. Now, maybe the ticket was 5 years ago. Maybe you already paid it. Maybe you completely forgot about it. But your insurance company didn't forget. And every month since then, that old ticket may have been quietly costing you hundreds, sometimes thousands, in higher insurance premiums. Most people think paying the ticket ends the problem. It doesn't. Most people don't know their rights until it's too late. If you want to stay one step ahead and never get caught off guard, hit subscribe now. And if this opened your eyes, share it with someone and tell me your thoughts in the comments. In many states, that violation stays attached to your driving history for years. Insurance companies can use it to classify you as high risk. That means higher monthly payments, fewer discounts, sometimes even policy cancellation. So what do? Can old tickets be removed? How do you even check what's still on your record? And what should you say if an officer starts questioning you about prior violations during a stop? In this video, you'll learn how traffic ticket expungement works, how to check your driving record, when you may be able to file a motion to expunge or seal violations, and how drivers legally reduce insurance costs without making the situation worse. And there's one mistake people make during traffic court that can lock those higher insurance rates in place for years. Here's the first thing most drivers get wrong. They assume paying the ticket is harmless. It's not always harmless. When you simply pay a traffic ticket, in many jurisdictions you are effectively admitting responsibility. That conviction can then appear on your motor vehicle record for years, depending on the state and the type of violation. Insurance companies often review that history during renewals. That means one speeding ticket from years ago could still be affecting what you pay today. Here's the trap. People panic during the stop and say too much. "Officer, I know I was speeding. I'm sorry, I always drive too fast here. I've had tickets before." That kind of statement can hurt you later because you're volunteering admissions before you even understand the situation. A calmer response is usually smarter. "Officer, I'll provide my documents." Short, respectful, controlled. You're complying without building a case against yourself unnecessarily. That matters because roadside arguments rarely help you. The courtroom is where legal challenges happen, not the shoulder of the highway. Now let's talk about what officers and insurance companies are actually looking for. They're looking for patterns, multiple moving violations, failure to appear, missed payments, license suspensions, defensive driving history, and many drivers never even check what's currently attached to their own record. That's mistake number 2. Not checking your driving record before shopping for insurance or filing legal motions. You should periodically request a copy of your motor vehicle record through your state's DMV or licensing agency. Some states allow online access, others charge a small fee. When you review it, look carefully at old citations, convictions, points, license status, and whether dismissed tickets still appear incorrectly, because errors happen more often than people realize. A dismissed ticket may still appear in certain databases. An old suspension might not have updated properly. And if you don't check, you won't know what insurers are seeing. Now imagine this scenario. An officer says, "Looks like your license was suspended before. What happened?" A lot of drivers immediately start over-explaining. "Well, it was years ago. I couldn't pay the fines, then I missed court." That usually doesn't help. A safer response is, "Officer, I'd prefer not to discuss my history without legal advice." Why does that matter? Because you are not required to turn a traffic stop into an investigative interview about your entire driving past. You still have rights during traffic encounters. That doesn't mean being rude. It means staying controlled. Now, here's where things get important. Some drivers may qualify to remove, seal, or reduce the impact of older violations, depending on state law. This is where people hear the word expungement and assume it works the same everywhere. It doesn't. Some states allow certain non-criminal traffic infractions to be sealed after a clean driving period. Others allow point reductions through traffic school. Some states remove points automatically after time passes, while the conviction itself still remains visible. And some serious violations may never qualify at all. That's why you must understand your specific state rules before filing anything. But generally, the process often involves 4 steps. First, obtain your driving record. Second, identify eligible violations. Third, complete any required waiting periods, classes, or unpaid obligations. Fourth, file the appropriate motion or request with the court or DMV. And here's another major mistake. Drivers ignore old unpaid court costs or failure to appear notices. That can trigger license suspensions, collections, or additional penalties that continue damaging insurance rates long after the original ticket. So before filing anything, make sure outstanding issues are resolved. Now let's talk about one phrase that can protect you during traffic-related questioning. Am I being detained or am I free to go? This matters because many drivers stay talking long after the stop should reasonably end. If the officer has completed the purpose of the stop but continues asking unrelated questions, calmly asking this clarifies the situation. Not aggressively, not sarcastically, calmly. If you are free to leave, leave calmly. If you are detained, do not argue roadside. And if questioning becomes more serious, another important phrase is, I choose to remain silent and I want to speak to a lawyer. That statement is powerful because it clearly invokes constitutional protections instead of simply staying silent ambiguously. Silence alone sometimes creates confusion. A clear verbal invocation is stronger. Now let's cover another expensive mistake. Drivers trying to explain away violations directly to insurance companies without understanding the consequences. Some people accidentally confirm facts or driving behavior during recorded calls that later affect claims or underwriting decisions. Be careful, be accurate, do not guess, and do not lie. False statements can create much bigger problems than the original ticket ever did. Instead, focus on legal ways to reduce premiums. That may include taking approved defensive driving courses, maintaining a clean record moving forward, shopping multiple insurers, removing inaccurate record entries, or seeking eligible expungement or point reduction options. And remember this, insurance pricing is often based on risk scoring over time. 1 clean year helps. 2 clean years help more. A pattern of safe driving matters. But many drivers sabotage themselves because they keep collecting small tickets they think don't matter. They do matter, especially when stacked together. Now let's talk about what not to do during traffic stops connected to old violations. Do not make sudden movements. Do not start searching through the car without telling the officer where your documents are. Do not argue about old tickets on the roadside. Do not consent to unrelated searches just because you feel pressured. And do not try to win the encounter emotionally. A simple phrase like this can matter. Officer, I do not consent to searches. Why does that matter? Because it preserves your position legally while still allowing you to comply physically if officers proceed anyway. Notice the balance. You are not resisting. You are not escalating. You are simply refusing consent clearly and calmly. That distinction matters enormously later. And here's another thing drivers forget. Body cameras, dash cams, patrol microphones, everything may be recording. The calmer and more disciplined person usually helps themselves the most legally. Not the loudest person, not the angriest person, the most controlled person. Now, very important legal clarity here. Traffic laws, expungement eligibility, insurance regulations, and DMV procedures vary significantly by state and by the facts of each case. Some violations cannot be removed. Some records remain visible to insurers longer than to employers, and some states use point systems very differently. This video is educational information, not personal legal advice. If you have serious license issues, suspended driving privileges, or major insurance increases, speaking with a licensed traffic attorney in your state may help you understand your actual options. But the overall framework stays consistent. Stay calm. Comply with lawful commands, do not volunteer unnecessary admissions, check your driving record regularly, fix errors immediately, understand your state's expungement or record sealing process, and never assume an old ticket stopped costing you just because you paid it years ago.
because for many drivers, the real cost starts after the court date ends. And in the next video, we're covering another situation most people completely misunderstand. What police can legally do when they ask, "Do you mind if I take a quick look inside your car?"